All right. Oh yeah. So tell me how you guys like this. I looked this up the other night. What is a group of owls called? It's a parliament.
Okay.
That's fucking dope.
That's
Why are they called a parliament? Because owls naturally are secluded creatures. They don't go in groups or flocks or anything like that. But when they do, it's called a parliament because it's known that those groups of owls are the wisest. I'm like, word.
That's
Pretty neat.
Someone-
I like it.
All right, cool. All right, cool.
I dig.
I didn't want to just say it, you guys, and then you guys be like, "That was stupid as fuck."
No, but
Don't ever do that again.
who doesn't like nature facts?
If you lack optimism, it's game over. Suffocate activity. Suffocate excuses.
All right, so yeah, let's get things started. For today's episode, we are guestless. It is the Odd Owls Parliament episode. We are going to get a deep dive into who we are because you guys might not know and you probably want to know. So yeah, let's get into it. As always, Andrew Garcia, Matt Russell, Thomas Donaldson. Where'd it go, man? Yeah. So we all have very similar backgrounds. Yeah. We all come from the same world. Like we are all visual effects, motion graphics, and basically anything post-production. Any of us feel pretty confident in at least dabbling in it.
Yep.
We may not say we're experts in every avenue because
We've touched it. We've
exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big part of it, right? It's knowing the multitudes of mediums and knowing how to make them interact and work together. At least like that's how I saw it when I was in school. Like I originally I was an architecture major, and then I was like, it's gonna take me way too long to make anything cool. Like that's literally how I saw it. Cause like I would talk to professors and talk to this, and they're like, you really want to be, cause they doubted me. They like legit, which see, but here's the thing. I went
so many stories.
I went to
of
Judson
people being
University in
like, no,
Elgin.
Don't do that.
Yeah, they were hardcore Christian evangelical school. So like they were like odd in their own right, where it was just like, this is not normal. Something's weird here. And I was always kind of like an outlier because I was, this sounds stupid to say, but I was too real. Like I was just always myself, and like I curse, I swear, like, and that's just naturally how I talk.
Yeah, right.
But at that school, you cannot curse or swear. You get work hours, you get fined and stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing that shit. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And like all the teachers recognize that in me, and they're like, you sure you want to be an architect? You sure you want? I'm like, dude, don't tell me what I do and don't want. But a big part of it was anytime we had design work or homework where it's like just make, a lot of it was like free form art because they wanted us to have a genuine sense of design, composition, rhythm, flow, like all those design elements, which was genius and smart. And I learned a lot through that. But my artwork would always be like graffiti style or tattoo style.
Okay.
And every professor would always be like, you should be a tattoo artist. You should be a tattoo artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I thought about that as well.
so did I. Like I used to sell artwork to tattoo shops back like when I was getting my tattoos and stuff like that. But I almost took it as an insult where I was just like, I'm trying to be an architect. Like, and you're saying like, you should think about tattoo artists. I was like,
It's like, wait.
Yeah,
fuck
screw
that.
you.
Yeah.
That's quite a.
But yeah, so
stark
like that, a
contrast.
lot of that, like the school just experience for that school, like kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But then it was the logistic thing of, you know what? It's 6 years of schooling minimum just to get your master's as an architect. Cool, you have your master's. You're still not an architect. You need to work a minimum of 3 years underneath a licensed architect, and then you can take the test to become an architect. Wow. And then, cool, 9 years later, you're an architect.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee you get to be creative and make the buildings you want and make the structures and have your ideas implemented. It's like, no, you got to put in the legwork. You got to pay your dues. You got to be a drafter and this and that. And
It's a pain in the ass.
exactly. And there's just like, so they're like, it'll probably be like 20, 30 years until you can like be creative with what you want and build what you want. And like, I was like, I don't have that patience.
A lot of
I was just
front
like, in my head, I was just like, I got ideas now, man. If I sit on
think
these
about
forever,
that.
someone else is going to do them. Or, you know, like, I want to make them now. Like, I
Because
just,
I wanted to be an architect as well, but like I didn't think of it like that. That's
it's a
interesting.
long process. And then not only that, the professors were always keen on being like, we are as prestigious, like our titles and what we do as doctors and lawyers and all that. They're like,
Of course.
but we get paid nothing like them. Like we don't make money like them. So like if you think you're here from the money, they're like wrong place. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way.
It's like you put so much work in on the front end, you'd hope you get paid like a fucking doctor.
Yeah.
But no, it's to do the creative stuff you want to do, and you're not even able to do it for however fucking long.
Yeah.
That seems kind of like a bum deal.
Yeah, so it was just a lot of waiting stuff, a lot of like takes time, and I'm an impatient person where it's just like if I have an idea and I know that it can be executed, I'm like, there's no reason to not do it. Like let's just do it.
Time is of the essence.
Exactly. So I left that school for a multitude of reasons, but that was a big reason. And then like I was just like, well, shit, like what the hell am I gonna do? I don't know.
That was college.
Yeah, that was my freshman year of college. Then I took a year off, like worked as a security guard, watching movies from like Swing Shift in like a little booth just on Netflix every night. Just I'd bring my laptop, they had Wi-Fi, and I would just watch movies and like check semi trucks in, and literally a Facebook ad on Facebook for the Art Institute.
Hey, Facebook, listen, it worked.
Yep.
It was for the Art Institute, and it was like for graphic design. And I was like, I like drawing, I like art. I was like, that could be like a legitimate avenue for like my artistic creativity and wants and needs. I was like, let me look into graphic design. Like I got to get off my ass. Like I'm not digging this work in this bullshit security guard job. I was like, so I went, checked out the school, and everything looked cool. They're showing me the curriculum for graphic design. I was like, all right, sweet. And they're like, we want to show you like everything that the school offers. So like we have a music production program, a video program, like special effects and motion graphics. And then they started showing me like the reels for like each one of the majors. And then when it came time for the visual effects and motion graphics reel, like I felt like my jaw was open. I was like,
That right there.
yeah,
All
because
right.
like it just hit me where it's like, these are literally the things I see in my head. Like when I see really cool design or really cool art, like these tables right here, like I'm imagining how each one of these is getting drawn on and then like, and then this builds and this grows and the ink fills that color. Like I always see things in my head that way, or even like with architecture, like I could always like 3D build the structures in my head, like and see them, stuff like that. So like seeing that was in that reel, and I was just like, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's our visual effects and motion graphics reel. And I was like, that's everything I see in my head. Like, can I see the curriculum for that? Like, I want to check it out.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, go ahead. And then like, and then it solidified it right there when I saw the curriculum. It was like the same core classes as the graphic designers, same core classes as the videographers, same core classes as photographers, same core classes as animation, as 3D modeling, as audio. So I was like, dude, I do everything.
Yep.
And they're like, well, part of that job is compositing, and compositing is you get this artist work, you get this artist work, you get this artist work,
That's pretty
and
dope.
bring it all together, and you make it seamless, and you make it seem like it is one cohesive thing, not a bunch of things together. Like that's what real compositing is. And I was like,
See, I didn't
that's
have that shit.
awesome. I was like, that's slick.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I was like, I don't know 100% for sure. Yeah, motion graphics, special effects, that's what I want. But I knew that I'd be able to explore and dabble in every one of those avenues where it's just like one of those is going to get me while I'm doing it.
It's a big sampler platter.
Exactly. And I'm just like, oh, this is awesome. This is fun. And then like for me, it was like motion graphics I gravitated to quick. And then just like the production side of like storytelling or sketches or skits, stuff like that, like working out ideas and concepts and like that whole creative process. Like I live for that. I love that because I love knowing that you don't have to be better than someone to make something better. You just have to look at it differently, and you're going to get a new idea. Like, so for me, like when I saw that, I was like, yes, that was like my moment. Like, yeah, this is what I like. This is what I want. And I stuck with it. What about you guys? Did you guys have like a moment when you felt it? You're like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Definitely. I interned. I was at the animation at DePaul University, and there was an internship that we had to do. And I saw an internship at the Daily Planet. And I was like, one, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
And two, like, I liked like the artsy look of it. And so I was like, all right, let me give this a shot. Seems like fun. Their office was located in the NBC Tower downtown. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
And they started hooking me up and they sat me down and they're like, this is, you recognize Adobe After Effects. And I was like, yeah, but vaguely. And they're like, all right, well, here's some tutorials. They showed me videocopilot.com and they're like, learn some things. And they're like, here's these cool things called like trap code particular. And I was like, what is this magical little like thing that like makes
anything?
particles dance and like it's evolved over time to do a ton, but like I was so impressed at this plugin and like all the things that it could do. And it was sort of a gimmick at the time now that I think about it, because particles are more like atmospheric, I want to say now, whereas back in the time, like I want to say maybe particles were a little more, because sometimes in a trend or plugins and new software will sort of guide the looks of design and motion graphics sometimes, because it's like, oh, this new technique, and everyone does the new technique or whatever. But that was my spark. I saw that and like the atmosphere that it was
being
in.
exposed to that world.
Yeah, it's just being exposed to that world. There was a small post-production house with like art on the wall, just like cool people. They had their like headphones on, music, not like a suit and tie. Like I hated that culture. And and there was just art everywhere, and like these cool. I liked creating cool animations, and particular just sort of like opened my eyes to like all the things that a computer could do with animation. And so that's sort of when I fell in love with motion graphics.
Yeah. For me, it was a little less structured and more like dust in the wind. I didn't know what I was going to do in high school for college. I really enjoyed woodworking class. Okay. And I liked doing a lot of hands-on kind of shit. And when I was done with school, I'd go home and go into the shed and fuck around. I'd make like explosives. Little tiny little things that just exploded.
Like bomb.
Yeah. Like the stuff you do as a dumb kid. So like I would putz around with that stuff. I would build something. I like in my car, I ripped out the center console and I built a new one out of wood just to make it look cool because it was a dumpy little shit sweet. Car. And then I guess a big thing for me was when I was much younger, like 5th grade, I decided to buy a camera at Hi8. Oh man, can't even remember the brand. It was some off-brand kind of shit thing.
We'll find it. We'll dig it.
Yeah, I still have it. It's it's not great. I upgraded later on, but I started putzing around with a camera because one of my friends, I had just watched. I guess one of my motivations was The Matrix. Okay. And we liked the fight scenes, and I was doing a fight scene. Yeah, I was not gonna lie. I was doing a fight scene with my friend who had his own camera. This was before I bought mine.
And I think I've seen this.
I think probably it's horrible. They're children.
No, it's so great.
All right, we need to find that and bring it up.
We'll
have it playing in the screen right here.
In the show notes, tapes somewhere. And when he explained to me, because he like stopped the camera and he moved it and then he started it back on, I was like, wait, so that's how they do it? I didn't understand what cutting was.
Editing and cutting.
And because like I had experience like just recording. I was like, it always looks stupid.
You had the curtain lifted. You're like, this is behind the scenes.
So I got my camera. I had Windows Movie Maker and all this other shit. And I always made shit. I have, like I said, a bucket full of tapes of just fucking nonsense. And so that played a part into the decision later on, because I think for a good portion of what I did when I was a kid, whether it was from chores to playing video games to editing stuff. At one point I tried to do animation, and when GIFs started, I was making GIFs back then in 7th grade. But I started on PowerPoint. Wow. I was like, I'm gonna make an animated GIF, and I took in MS Paint. I drew a bunch of stuff, like a guy with a grenade and stick figures blowing up or something, and I turned the slide value to 0.1 seconds, and I hit play, and I was like, oh, I did it. So I did all this weird shit. So all of these weird fucking things that I would do, I decided that I wanted to go to an art school and do that instead of anything tangible that made you money.
I want to throw grenades at stick figures for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and just the process. Oh, I remember at one point. All right, short tangent. At one point, I invented recording video games on the computer, and I'm completely convinced of this because one of my newer, I had a Canon.
You heard it here, folks.
I invented the Let's Play. I totally doubt that. It was in like 7th grade, so it's fresh. I had a new camera.
Could be plausible. It might have been the first.
7th grade, for the record, was what, 2004? Yeah, 2004 for me. I'm 28 now.
Yeah, you're younger than me.
Yeah. So I had a new Canon camera, and I had Burnout 3 on the PlayStation 2.
That was a racing game, right?
Yeah, you try to destroy as much shit as you can.
Yes.
I always thought that was really cool. And so
There's a theme going on.
Grenades blowing up.
Bit of an anarchist. I had a way to connect the camera to the VCR so that you could transpose tapes and stuff like that. And I had a way to connect the camera to the computer so that I could ingest.
Yeah.
But I was like, what if I do these two things at the same time through and I had, it was from one camera to the other camera, and I guarantee there was a cord that did this, but in my fucking brain, I was like, computer to camera to VCR to TV, and then I was playing it there, and I was recording it straight to my computer, and I was editing that way.
So what you're saying, you made your own log and capture system, essentially?
To capture PlayStation 2 video games. And I was like, this is fucking cool. I did the wrestling games. I used to be really into WWE and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And me and my friends had a trampoline, and I recorded.
Dude,
that
WWE
shit.
is some of the greatest storytelling of all time.
Yeah.
Long format storytelling.
Right. I guess the point of that tangent too is just to say I had all this shit, and when I went to check out the school, and I went to the same school as Andrew, and actually we probably met I think at one of the orientations.
Yeah, our first classes we had together.
Yeah,
I remember.
and there's where it all started. And so I just saw the plausibility of looking at all these fucking things, and what I liked was putting it all together. But and to the same token, when you're a person who's a compositor or an editor, you have to take either Rosetta Stone to everyone else's garbage, whatever.
That's a great metaphor. That makes sense though. Yeah.
Plop it all together, but to the same token, you also have to split it up. And I like taking things apart, blowing shit up, as much as I like putting it all together.
Yeah.
So I think that's what was the real spark to get me into this sort of thing. And I think I nailed it, because when I'm doing that stuff, I really do enjoy it quite a lot.
And one thing I've noticed where it's where I realize oh no, I'm in the right place. Mm-hmm. Where it's when I'm working, last night I was working until 2 a.m. I was tired, but my brain wanted to keep going.
Right.
I was dude, this is fun. I'm making what I want. I was like, this is funny. It's cool.
Artist syndrome.
Yeah. And I was just digging it. I was loving it. And I was like, but if this was client work, I'd be getting paid for it. It's just people pay me to do this. And
right.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, suckers.
Yeah, that. I don't know who said, because I know early on, I heard something to that effect, find a job that's not work and you'll never work a day in your life. You know what I'm saying? And I was just yeah, duh.
Right.
I mean, don't get us wrong. It's a stressful job.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean,
but with keeping things in perspective, big pictures, nah, dude, we're doing what we love, and people are giving us money for it.
It's nice to pay your rent and enjoy. I've had a couple jobs where I just completely fucking hated it while still doing this stuff, but more times than not, I'm enjoying myself. Gotcha. Whether at one job, the reason I hated it because I was secluded, but on some level, that's also the reason why I liked it.
Okay.
Because as I was working on my own, it was not great for social anxiety because you were just trapped in your office.
Yeah.
However, the other job I was at, I was challenged constantly and working with 20 people daily on 7 different projects, and when you got to the point where you could juggle all this shit, and then a fucking kink comes in, someone throws a chainsaw in the mix, you're oh, you almost chopped your hand off, you switch it around, you're still juggling, and it just at the end of the day, when the day would go so quick, and I went, holy shit, even if it was a tiny thing or it was a big thing, it was so enjoyable and so nice to be able to go, yeah, I fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Like I feel that's what I
When
get
you know
from
you
that.
executed exactly like what was in your head
Right.
actually was your end result.
Yeah.
There's definitely a sense of accomplishment that I want to say that, because we work on something and we literally get to see the finished product as it's sort of being built. And then like once it's rendered and then, the final thing, like it's sort of interesting, and like we go to create something and we come out with something.
Yeah.
It's we're God in a sense, and
Yeah, we're creators. We're
yeah,
creating
we all start with a black screen and then we create something
Right.
out of it. Like
black
it's
screen, white
yeah.
piece of paper, just emptiness, nothing. And then it's
Yeah.
just like create,
Bleh.
build, make. Yeah.
Sometimes we can get a little constipated and doesn't come out.
I get caught in the early stages of having too much fun when a lot of the times I have my own ideas, but I find those a little harder to execute because, perfectionism, whatever you want to call it, it's hard to like get it out.
Excuses.
Yeah.
I like to call it.
Yes, that's the perfect word to describe
Nailed
it too,
it.
because you should work through that and then start it. The hardest thing for me is starting something, and then because once you're in it, it's like you said, it's
Yeah,
just
you're there for the ride.
You're there.
you're it's
Riding
2
it out.
a.m. and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what happened?
But when someone else throws up an idea on the table and you have to like make sense of it, I get caught having too much fun. And a lot of the times, like I pad my timeline. Everyone, you're supposed to pad your timeline.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of my timeline gets eaten up when I came up with a new way to execute a thing I've done 500 fucking times. And I'm like, ooh, this is cool.
better or faster.
This will make it so next time when I do this, it'll be better. And then I never get it next time, but I did it anyway.
Yep.
So I get too into, and like, it's sad because the people I would show it to don't understand what I did and why it was cool. But like, I get excited and I'd be like, come here, producer, check out this cool thing. And they're like, they're like, wow, that is cool. What is it? And I'm just like, well, I used an expression connected to.
Glaze.
Yeah, right away.
You said I used the expression glaze.
Like with your face?
I wish I'll bring it next time. I have a notebook of math theorems and formulas because
Four expressions?
Yeah, because you get to the point where you're
we
like,
should bring our own like old notebook. Like that'd be pretty good. I have an old
love that
notebook
shit.
as well.
I
yeah,
have multiple notebooks.
yeah.
Well, still,
Yeah.
somebody hasn't graduated into the this newest century.
If it ain't broke.
That's fair. Yeah,
But if it ain't a cloud,
True. Going back to you were talking about like different jobs we were for. I kind of want to. I want all of us to go over like the different jobs we've had in our careers because I know mine have varied at least in title and in like job description of what I do.
all right, then let me quickly go over, I guess, like my origin then before I jump
Yeah, please do.
ahead. I guess I don't know. I've been doing, I guess, art for, I guess, my whole entire life, and just drawing and doing like ink work. But when it came to going to college, I was like, what do I have to do? It needs to make money. So like even in high school, I sort of knew that as much as I'd like to be an artist and do whatever I please,
Still
I was
guaranteed.
like, I need to pay the bills. I didn't want to be homeless. I did like.
It's like I could struggle, but I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to struggle. So I thought I wanted to be an architect. I liked the idea of creating something.
Yep.
I loved Legos.
Designing. Legos,
and
yes.
so I was like, oh, this would be so cool. Like, and then I get to see this building that like I create. So I went to the Catholic University of America for a month-long architecture course during the summer, and I had a blast. It was fun, but like after that course, I was like, you know what? Like, I just don't really see me doing that for the rest of my life. Like I didn't feel a spark when I was actually doing it.
Right.
Like in my head, I was like, this is cool. But like when I was actually doing it, I'm like, this is cool, but it's not like I didn't feel a spark. So, I decided to do what I really wanted to do, which was create video games. I got introduced to video games when I was a kid and I sort of got addicted. when I saw the cutscenes to especially like
cinematic
StarCraft,
scenes,
like
yeah.
Blizzard had some amazing
Yep.
cutscenes, and when I saw those like 3D cutscenes, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to create some cool 3D like craziness.
Worlds
And
that don't
so-
exist.
There was only a couple schools that would do game development, and DePaul University happened to be one of them. And I also liked Chicago when I visited, so I was like, "This is dope. Let's do this." So I went to game development, and I want to say halfway through my college career, I did this thing called C++. And I've always struggled with languages as a kid, even I guess English as a kid, but like especially learning like Spanish or French or any other languages, like, I would get a B minimum, like C, which is not bad, but I would have
I got
to
a B in Spanish.
but I would
100% Mexican.
But I would have to like really study and like really like try at it, and it was just a lot more effort than I really wanted to put into it. And I guess C++ is another language, so I was like, I don't really want to do this. This sucks. And so DePaul came out with a brand new degree, the animation degree. So I was like, cut out the middleman. I'll just do animation, exactly
Code
what I
shit.
want to do.
Yeah.
And so, I started taking animation classes, and then, then I went to the internship at Daily Planet, and then, that's pretty much where I fell in love with motion graphics, and I've been pretty much doing it ever since. And that's pretty much all I do or want to do. So I don't really do like photography. I mean, I do all this stuff in like my off time, but I don't do it professionally. And if people ask me to, I'll do it, but I don't really want to do it. And so I will either not accept it or move to another job, or I don't know. Basically, I just want to do motion graphics and 3D design and 3D motion graphics. Pretty much, I want to make cool 3D shit, like the cinematics in Blizzard, or like, motion graphics, or I don't want to do it. Like, I mean, I guess I'm a specialized person. So I know you guys like to, touch a ton of different stuff. But, I guess I'm just like singular. I'm like, I want motion graphics, or,
Can you
call me, I
Can
guess.
you give your own like description of exactly what motion graphics pertains? Because I know all of us know exactly what it means, but not everyone. Because like we say it so very calmly, just like motion
well, I
graphics.
guess let's just say like we all do motion graphics. Let's just let everyone know that we all do motion graphics. That's a question we always get a lot. Or like, hey, just meeting new people. Like, hey, what do you do? And it's just like always like a pause, because like I know like I could go
I always
into
just
something.
say I do all things video,
and then I get like the glaze over, all things video. And then, I also get like, oh, your motion graphic designer, is that like Pixar? And I'm like,
not really.
Yeah, sort of not really, but like a really cheaper budget, and not the
Not a
machines that
team
they're
of
working
30
on, and not
people.
a team. Exactly. So it's like that, but like, on a real small scale.
To that same question, I'm curious what everyone's preferred software, medium, I'll call it, 2D, 3D, maybe some like inspiration. Like, because like when I think of inspiration, I think one of my go-tos in the old days was compositing, like those Transformers movies, the 3D shit.
Yep.
This is an example. So like what's some of the like software, and what's your medium for motion graphics? How do you...
Well, After Effects. I mean, there really is no other tool. Let's be
nails it
real.
like that. Yeah.
But also to say that like motion graphics, to me anyway, when I try to explain it to someone, is anything you don't see that's not shot on the television screen. So if you look at like sports,
if it didn't come from a camera,
all the 3D stuff is sports. Anything commercial that's not shot or is, especially someone just like, on a screen background, show opens, credits, like any of that, I'm like, that's motion graphics.
Right.
And After Effects really is the only tool. I mean, I know there's other tools around there, but I feel like no one uses that. Like
professionally, no.
or
These days, right?
Or, if you had a choice, I mean, and Adobe's also made it, I guess it's somewhat reasonably priced for the cloud.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't mind it, but Adobe has like made some chokes here and there, and I feel like but I don't
What
know.
software giant hasn't though?
And
Right.
I know they just acquired
Final Cut.
Substance or algorithmic Substance, and I have mixed feelings about that. I like it just because it's one less monthly payment I have to do.
Right.
But Adobe might just mess it up, and like Algorithm is pretty good about making some quality releases. And so, I'm hoping that Adobe is just going to flood them with money and things will get better, but I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, Adobe and then Maxon Cinema 4D is what I use pretty much to make my stuff. And then I've been doing more with Redshift.
Yeah.
So that's what I do to create my art, I guess.
I know it depends.
Digitally, anyway.
It depends on the project too, because some people want flat and then techniques too. But when it comes to your own stuff, do you do 3D in After Effects? Do you kind of circumvent that with Cinema 4D?
I mean, not unless someone has a gun to my head, pretty much.
Thomas.
3D in After Effects is horrible.
It's horrible, yeah.
It's horrible.
You can make it
I'm
work.
efficient at it. It's garbage, but I know how to make it work.
It's absolute garbage.
Like, because I know how to make simple things work quickly.
To get
That's
what lights are you using?
What's that?
Lights. What type of lights are you
No
using?
lights. It's
no
all color
lights.
corrections.
there you go. Use the adjustment layers.
It's a
Interesting.
workaround.
All right.
It's a workaround.
Right.
It doesn't work the same, but like for simple shots, just you want a little.
So yeah, just like
movement.
3D space
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
stuff. All right,
Simple
all right.
shit.
No, I'm tired. Like I thought you were talking about like.
No, not environments.
Yeah,
not 3D
I
environments
use
and shit.
3D
Fuck that.
space. Like I pick the 3D marker and move things
Right,
in 3D space,
right.
but I don't like try to create
Build it.
3D things.
Exactly, because
inside
it's
of
not
After
worth it. No,
Effects, yeah.
that's ridiculous.
And I have a good. I guess I'll answer my own and our own question here. Like also After Effects, of course, Cinema 4D. You use that. If I have to use it, I like After Effects because it's a tool that encompasses lots of stuff with the dynamic link and all this other shit. So it's really nice to be able to just have it all wrapped up in one nice little bundle.
Oh yeah.
I had at my last job, I worked for Sears. Ooh, that was a good one. A good short run there. We had a commercial
Well,
we
how
were
long
doing.
though? When you say short run,
It
how
was
long?
a little over a year.
All right.
But recent news, I should say.
Before you get into the story,
Sure.
can you clap one more time? Both these cameras died.
Yep.
Cool. All right, go ahead.
No problem.
So yeah, I worked at Sears for about a year. Up until recent news, I think if it's not general knowledge, Sears is in bankruptcy. So I was let go from that job, and a lot of other people were too. But I worked for a company that worked. Sears were their client. So when your client goes away and it's your primary client. So I didn't directly, although I was a Sears employee.
So I was a let go of my last job too.
Yeah. So I think
actually,
that's
sort of.
that's a theme that's pretty concurrent. The job I had before that was another job I lost because they couldn't pay for the building anymore and they had to move it to another place. As the case. But I guess my example for the 3D thing is I decided, and I'm going to get a little overly technical. So if there are people watching or listening who don't follow, I'll make it quick. I was able.
Start the timer.
Here we go. I'll try. Right? Oh fuck. So
This is where we cut it.
and then pops back in. Everyone's like, "Oh god." It was for Christmas. It was for Black Friday, so I had to make like a present. And I decided to take a cube, so what is that, 6 sides, and solids, and I moved them in 3D space. I use math, go 100 this way, 100 this way, connect them up. You move the anchor points around. Cool. I now have a cube. I can move my camera around.
Math kids, stay in school.
Stay in school, unless, whatever.
Don't go to college though.
It's true.
Touch on that later.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. So I built the thing and I was able to use some null objects to move around and animate it pretty nice. You can make the lid come up and everything fold out. It was a good faux 3D to 2.5D to get to a certain point. However, what the problem, because what you said, it's incredibly finicky. It's
limited.
You're gonna run into some
Garbage.
issues. I had the gift drop in and fold out, and for that I needed the other side, what typically is called in 3D your UV map or your skin. I needed the other face of the poly to have a different texture, and the way to do that was to duplicate the layer and then offset it by 0.01.
Yep.
Yeah,
the
cheap.
tiniest
Yeah,
fraction
right.
of an inch. Yeah.
However, and I could not explain this this. I managed to, finesse it out in the animation, move some keyframes around, make sure the camera doesn't catch it. What was happening was I had two things directly on top of each other. They were duplicated, so the animation was exactly the same. The pinpoint, the anchor point was exactly the same, and it goes like this. And for some reason, it was off like this every single time. Whoop, and you saw it bleed
Like
through.
it would go through it, yeah.
Yeah.
One would go faster than the other.
You would think, and like I had the curves, and I have a plugin that allows me to grab the exact
Keyframes
mathematic
with the
curve.
curves, yeah. So the
Right.
same ease and
It's the
whiz.
same exact thing. I couldn't really explain it other than that 0.01 was just enough to fuck. Literally, if I have 6 sides, so that's 12 things, and then I had a lid, and the lid was 6 sides and 12 things, so I have 50 fucking.
Yeah, anytime you're trying to
70 fucking
build
layers.
structures in After Effects 3D, say goodnight. Like,
Yeah, no, this guy.
Oh, ComEd commercials, man.
Yeah, that's all I think about. is that
Yep, I'll
commercial.
never forget those. I will never forget. I learned a lot from those.
I
Though.
was just like, why? I was like, build that in cinema, and that would just take you
but-
seconds.
But no, at that, because me and Thomas worked together, and at that job, before you came on, no one was really proficient in Cinema 4D.
I thought they had one cinema guy because they
They
created
said that they would hire someone to
the guy
freelance
who
every now and
created
then.
that switchboard, that 3D switchboard. I wanted to say there was someone. I don't know. Cassie always talked about someone that came
Yeah,
before
I
me that
remember
knew
always
cinema and
hearing
then left because
that
they wanted
too.
to do cinema.
Yeah, but like that was even before me, and I was there for like a year or two before
Okay.
you. So that was long ago. So like literally no one did 3D and cinema because like all of us knew how to dabble and manipulate and fuck around with it.
Use it as
But to like make something from zero to finish and have it polished.
Yeah.
None of us had that experience or that speed to make it like this is worth our time investing in it in.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until you came that it made sense that you're bitching like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, but to me, it was just like, oh, I've never done 3D in After Effects. All right, I guess you can. Let's do it. And it was so many headaches, so many problems. Like, and that's was like my first job out of school. I started as an intern there. And like that was one of the first projects I was thrown on was ComEd commercials. Yeah. And me and Bobby, we stayed till like 2-3 in the morning.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And that was like my second or third week there. And I was just like, damn, dude. Like, and that's funny because like I think
Welcome to the jungle.
I literally think back to that moment. Like that was my moment where I was like, I'm doing it. I'm in the industry. Like this is the work.
Right.
This is what professors
That's
talked about.
yeah.
Staying up late to make the deadline for the client. And I I was like, I'm doing it. Like, it's
Oh
awesome.
man, don't they like breathe that into you? Like, oh yes, be a slave for the client.
Yeah. Well, it's not. I understand what you're saying, but like with the professors I had, I feel like they were very much so like they were conscious of that like that garbage attitude of it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like our livelihood depends on them when you're a freelancer. So you got to understand that you're going to take a lot of shit and you're going to work a lot of late nights just to live, to survive. He's like, it's not that it's okay. He's like, and it shouldn't be normal. He's like, but it is. He's
That's
like,
what it's
it is
like
a
in the
pretty
games
normal
industry.
standard
Oh
in
no,
our
yeah,
industry.
these are definitely things you guys, we all do, but it's exactly, it's one of those things that you're like, oh man, you have to make sure that you don't get
Well,
taken
the goal,
advantage
the
of.
the
Let's put
goal
it
is
that
to
way.
not have that happen. To be prepared, be proficient, have safeguards to know where it's like, no, meet your deadlines. No, you need this much time. Stuff like that. But like, I was a baby. I was fresh.
Yeah.
I was still learning. Like, that job. Like, I genuinely feel like I learned a lot. It wasn't like that. Working at that place was like the coolest or the greatest. It was just that I was forced to deal with a lot of different things at once, and I was just like, just do it. And I was like, I'm gonna do it, but it might not be great. And then person we worked with, Bobby, he was always really good at just being like, you're doing this wrong. This is how you do it faster. And like to me, I never took that as like insult. I never took that as like, oh, I suck or this. It was always just like,
thank you.
Oh my God, thank you. Like, that's all I want. I just want to make this faster. Like, this is the only way I know how to do it. He's like, no, there's a faster way. Check this out. And I'm like,
Bobby was
shit.
cool like that. I mean, I
but
definitely
like, I learned a
people
lot
who
from that
tell
guy.
you, hey,
Shout out to Bobby.
you're fucking up. I mean, a lot of people don't like confrontation or telling people, especially like artists, because we're all
thrive
artists
on
and we're
that,
like,
though.
we don't want to, offend them. But like, it's really important to just say like, hey, you're fucking up. Here's a better solution. I know some and the people that are receptive to that kind of stuff are the best type of people because they will learn.
Right.
And I was definitely that way. I was at a job and freelancing at this post-production studio, and I was like, this studio's awesome. Once again, it was like really cool art on the wall. They had like Mortal Kombat arcade, and I was like, this is sweet.
Like, I'll die
and
here.
I was brought in for a week, and I want to say on the second day, like towards the end of the day, I was like, he called me into his office, and I'm like, ooh, what does he want to see? And he's like, Tom, you're a really cool guy, but you're extremely slow, like real slow.
Ouch.
And I was like, oh shit. I mean,
not good.
No one's ever told me this. I mean, I've been doing motion
had no idea.
graphics
Yeah.
for years at least or something like that. And no one's ever told me that.
Right.
And so I was like, okay. He's like, we can do one or two things. We can let you go right now. You can do whatever you want, or you could come back, but we'll have to pay you a lot less than what you wanted.
Shit.
And I was like, I didn't have anything else going on. And I was like, sure, I'll come back in. I want to learn more. I like the atmosphere. So, I was like, I'm not going to get defeated. I stayed the rest of the week. I'm still, buddies with all the people that worked there. So, that's a connection in of itself. So it was worth staying there. But since then, I made goddamn sure I wasn't slow ever again.
Yeah,
So I looked up shortcuts. I looked, the keyboard shortcuts. Now I'm like completely fluent with that. Like I know all the shortcuts, and I mapped new hotkeys for different things that I normally do. And anything that will make my job easier, I buy the plugin. I'm like, it's
worth the money.
It's
Always
worth
worth
the money,
it.
whatever.
Always worth it.
Because I
Because it
never
makes
want
you
to be
look
slow
better
again.
as an artist, as a person in your
So plugins are worth it, guys. Spend the money. It's a tax write-off, so do it.
Plugins that are time savers, not because I feel like there are a decent amount of plugins in there that are just like a frivolous effect.
Yeah, there's a lot of
but
stuff
sometimes
you could
those
use.
effects do it well, like better than what your standard is.
I have
I'll give you that.
I have one. I think it's called tessellation or something. You draw a shape layer, and it breaks it up into a paper foldy thing, and it gives you controls to fold it in new ways. I've used it 0 times.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you need it for that specific effect, and then that's it.
It was just because I fucking
universal
liked
stuff,
it, and but there are a handful of other plugins, and I only started buying plugins when I got a job that I could pay for shit. But I spent because it was like plugin overload. I was like, gimme.
Yeah, I
I
love
bought
them.
at least $1,000 worth of
Same.
plugins.
Easily.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't have. Well,
I got like
I don't
3
have
that are
much
worth
for after.
200.
Dude, like literally since college, I've been buying plugins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
But like, how many do you use though on a daily basis? Now,
but that's why I say that some of them are frivolous and not worth it, because I look back at a lot of them. Where
so
I
out
was
of
like,
the
dude,
$1,000,
oh yeah, but like that's the thing. It's just like
There's
now I have the perspective of just like not all of them are great, or not all of them are.
but I
worth
mean,
your
definitely,
money.
it was like, I think it was worth it because then you also like know about it. Like if
Well, yeah,
some
true,
other
it's the learning
client or
experience
some
of
other
just
studio
experiencing it.
has those plugins, you're like, oh yeah, I have that
I've used this
plugin. I've
before.
used this.
Yeah.
I'm
Right,
aware
yeah.
of it.
That's
Just
actually huge,
simply
too.
being aware of what's out there is also
Yeah.
really important.
a lot of jobs you go to as a motion graphics artist, people have the Red Giant. They've got, trap code, all that stuff.
There's
And
some industry standards. let's
yeah,
put it that way.
and it's because, like you were talking about before, the plugin drove the look, and if you didn't have access to that look, you were behind and you weren't fitting. Especially if you're doing commercial work. Commercial work is all sorts of social media and YouTube and all that sort of shit. I found a lot of plugins that I liked from this YouTube channel. Does a lot of tutorials. He doesn't get nearly as many viewers as he should. YouTube.com/workbench.
Okay.
That guy has got a whole lot of fantastic, more advanced After Effects stuff, which is where I'm at. When I go back to
I'm glad you said it, because I have such a hard time finding intermediate to advanced tutorials, because like all 3 of us are past the point of needing to be walked through the baby steps.
You
like,
basically-
okay, now switch to the move
Yeah.
tool, now switch to the anchor point tool. I was like, dude, stop! Like,
Yeah,
just
cut
get
it
me
out.
to the meat. And like,
Yeah.
that's not. It's kind of like a rare thing. Like I don't find them that.
it's
often.
hard to find, and that's why I wanted to kind of plug him, because he gets
What's an example of one?
so he's got a lot of really great and I forget, I think it's ASCII, ASCII. It's it's like the text graphics.
Yeah, the ASCII generator.
Right. That look like
Art or
symbols
whatever, yeah.
and stuff like that. You know, like if you're looking at the Minority Report with like UIs
Gotcha,
and lots of text going on the screen, like but he's got a lot of like expression generated based textures using ASCIIs all within After Effects, and like
interesting.
the plugins
nice.
that he was using that I saw in his tutorials, like these are all fucking handy. He uses them sparingly because still you want to be able to watch a tutorial that you can do.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's a specific plugin tutorial. But the plugin I was talking about earlier, which I think is everybody who ever, if you work in curves in After Effects,
Which
you should, because that's your animations, that's how things work. There's a plugin called Flow. You drop it in there. I plop it in a nice little spot.
Yep.
Select it. And my favorite feature is you can nail a curve to make it feel like, you know, it comes in and slows down. Nice and perfect. You can select those two keyframes, tell it to extract the data from those two keyframes, and then fucking select all these and paste it down. It's fucking amazing.
Do you guys use
time savers like that? Fucking invaluable.
Use Duik? DUIK?
Yes.
I love
I
Duik.
don't. Not a
Bobby
lot.
showed me Duik.
It's an IK.
It's an IK. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rigging, animating. It's with a lot of like curve words.
I
like
forget what
presets
IK stands for people who don't.
Inverse kinematics.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Yeah, it's like elbows to shoulders.
It's creating the skeleton
Yeah.
of what's going to move. You know,
It's
'cause,
great.
Like, we have graphics and pieces, but we need to link them to say, here's the knee, here's the waist, here's
a
the
lot
elbow.
of graphics with like character-based stuff. It doesn't have to physically be a character. It could be like an animated A that needs to have a little life to
Exactly.
it with the puppet tool or something. You know, where you would want like an elbow joint. That is a fantastic
Yeah.
plugin.
But one thing I love Duik for is because I don't do so much rigging. I just do a lot of motion graphics and animating and stuff like that. And it's always simple animations like lower thirds or little subtle graphics. And I use it mainly for its like keyframe features, like because it's just so quick. Because like I used to do hotkeys for like the ease and like ease in, ease out, stuff like that. But this just like you can make multiple presets where it's like I want the ease on 30 and then 80 when it comes in or when it comes out. And then you can save that and it's just like, all right, apply it to all of these, apply it to this. And then it's got like spring, wiggle, bounce, like all these like natural physics movements to it
Right.
where it's just like, all right, I want here, start here, end here. But like it only boom stops. But if you add the wiggle to it or the bounce, it's just zoom,
Yeah,
and it stopped. Like I love that. Like it's just so because
it's handy.
when I was in school, I used to hand animate
Right.
because I thought that's how you did it.
and after the seventh time doing it, you're like, God, like it looks great. I have to do this every single time.
Exactly,
But it's
yeah.
like,
But
fuck,
no,
man.
and then you find those plugins that save you that time.
Absolutely.
Well, going back to like there's frivolous plugins. I think it's not that they're frivolous. It's know the stuff you're going to be making.
Right.
Because like I bought a lot of plugins that are like sci-fi
Right.
UIs and
Yeah.
like all this crazy stuff.
But if
'Cause,
you're
like,
not going to use it,
but it's but that's just
nuanced.
because like I love it. That's like my
Yeah,
genre of
yeah,
shit I
yeah.
like. So it's like,
You'd
yeah, I
like
want
to
make
use it one
I want to
day.
make this cool shit, but it's just like
if you have a hammer,
contextually-
all you'll see is
exactly
nails.
contextually.
Yes,
I'm just
yes.
like, when would I ever use this? I'm not creating the next sci-fi space
Yeah.
opera,
Right.
or I'm not. I was like, I make this kind of stuff. Or I make this. I was like, that's not practical for me.
It's
Why do I have?
it's a very
this?
focused.
Yeah, so I would
plugin.
say just know what either you want to make or know what you are making, like on a regular day.
There was
basis.
and just because we're still talking plugins, I just bought a new one. It's pretty hard to use because the UI for the specific thing, it's geo layers.
Yeah.
Basically, what you can do, it takes like Google Maps API, Bing API.
Oh, I heard about this.
And
Yeah,
it pulls it into After Effects. You can type in, Germany, and then go from Germany, set a keyframe over to California, and do that sort of thing. Then you can change the looks. You can grab more information from the API to say I want Route 96 to highlight, and then I want to animate that sort
they're
of
all
thing.
already like separated in their own like layer. And
Yeah, but
How good does it look?
it looks pretty good. I could probably pull up an example. This is, well, maybe not. It's for freelance, so I'll make something.
Oh yeah,
new.
we can all look up geo layers.
Yeah,
but
check out geo
It
layers.
looks realistic though. It doesn't look.
It looks now you can make
Is
it
it better
kinda,
than Google Earth?
It's basically Google Earth.
Because I was about to say Google Earth just came out with Google Earth Studios.
Oh, see, that's what I heard
Okay.
about, actually. Yeah, you were telling me about
I just got
Is it something similar?
Yeah, I just got accepted into the beta or whatever, and it's pretty much Google Earth, and they give you all like the After Effects data.
Oh, wow.
And, like 3D camera data. So
Maybe I didn't have to spend $200.
yeah, literally, and like anyone that has like a drone, I'm like, it's like it still like
Oh,
looks
okay.
like somewhat of a Google Maps kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as soon as the technology gets better, I mean, it's gonna look better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I mean, but to have it like free, and then like you do like anywhere in the like globe, and then come out from like outer space. So it's like it does like the whole space kind of
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
That's
But
pretty neat.
let's move from plugins because that's boring, and anyone else who's not a motion graphic designer is just
Yeah,
like,
let's nerd out
this
for a
is what the
bit.
fuck. So let me talk about like the Spider-Man movie.
Spider-Man swings in once a day, zip zap zop in his little mask and answers to no one. I love you, Miles.
Yeah, I know that.
You gotta say I love you back.
Dad, are you serious?
I wanna hear it.
Look at this place.
Dad, I love you.
Dad, I love you.
That's a copy.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Like
Okay.
we've all seen it.
Into
Like
Spider-Verse.
let's
Yes.
talk about this. movie.
Yes.
Because this movie was
I'll be
freaking
the one who
amazing.
said I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't
Have
seen
it?
it?
Oh my god!
You're killing me, Matt.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Doing.
As someone in our industry,
I know.
like,
I was saying earlier,
shame on you.
I've fallen
you're
out
unemployed.
of
What are
going
you
to-
doing but to see the Spider-Man movie?
I'm
You can
watching
see it all
people
the time.
play video games on YouTube shamefully.
Oh my god!
I know, but still, I've watched a review about it, so I know.
So it's the same thing.
So
It's the same thing. Yeah. He's like, I know
guess
what
I was
it
gonna
is.
say, don't worry about spoiling it or anything for me.
All right. Well, we could talk about it without.
But also, like, if you know comics and Spider-Man, you already know what that story is.
Yeah.
Into
Yeah.
Spider-Verse. He's the multiverse.
all right. Well, then maybe let's
You're a
not
big
talk
multiverse
about
guy, which is
Spider-Verse.
That's
then.
like one thing me and Matt kind of like bonded over in school. When
That's
I was
right.
Like, where I was like, dude, this guy gets it. Like, we're
Yeah.
on the same wavelength. Where it's like, like Kenan,
Yes.
physics class, physics theory, and like multiple universes. And because he would always say, like, he's like, I teach, he's like, physics classes at legit physics schools. He's like, the physics theory class is the hardest class for them. He's like, you art student kids just fucking nail it. Like,
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
get it. He's like, because you don't think normally, you don't think by
Yeah,
rules. He's like, these kids are
exactly.
math and numbers. You guys are just like, nah, I saw it in a sci-fi movie once, so it will work. It's like- and it's
Right,
just-
right.
dude, I love that
True.
class because like our homework would be go watch these 2 time travel movies and tell me what theory of time travel it is.
Right.
Like and the evidence as to why. Like I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
great.
And like it was funny because I remember when we started that class.
All right, what's a movie that you remember from there?
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
I know, but
every
one.
time
Just let us know
Close
one.
Encounters of the
Frequency.
Third Kind.
Frequency,
I love
and then
Frequency.
what was the time?
I can't remember the name of the time travel theory, but the way it works
Right.
out is when you manipulate time in that world, it's his consciousness is merging with the consciousness of a newly formed universe because he altered the timeline. Because when you see in that movie when like Dennis Quaid like saves whoever or something, you see like the guy like in real time, like in the present, things start changing to him and happening, and then the room morphs and things change.
All right.
So it's not like, oh snap, like Thanos snap.
You should have gone for the head.
And no, it's a new universe. This is what it is now. It was like it changed and it warped into this new world. That was his consciousness merging
Wow,
with
all
that
right.
universe.
So like the reality was almost
I
like
get
all
goosebumps
like
thinking
mental
about that. Like,
kind of
I
deal,
love,
like mind
physics
kind of
theory
thing.
and stuff like that.
The
Yeah,
reality
love
is
it.
what you are seen through, or how your brain, I guess, understands what reality
Well, which is why I
or something
loved
like
I
that.
loved comic books because
Now let's shift to comic books since you haven't seen Spider-Verse. Do you like comics?
They delved,
do you
they
like comics?
delved-
All right, let's shift to that then.
they delved right into like multiverse theory,
Oh, yeah.
one universe theory.
Long time ago too.
Like
before people were like, "What the
60s,
fuck is
man,
that?"
70, like
Yeah.
they knew.
So what was everyone's comics then? Like, what was their go-to?
I liked
grew up on, yeah.
any of the X-Men. Yeah, I knew the X-Men.
Yeah, representing from head to toe.
House of M was very good.
Fuck yes.
And then I liked a lot of the Green Lantern stuff. Actually, it was pretty
I
good.
constantly have been here. Like one of my guilty pleasures on YouTube is this guy called Comics Explained, and he was my big like kick in the ass to get back into comics.
Yeah.
Because I fell off for years for girls. I was like, yeah, they're not down with comics. It's not cool anymore. And then I was like, fuck women. Like I like what I like. And so I would. My cousin told me about him once because it was when Original Sin had come out.
Okay.
And he's
What's Original
like,
Sin?
Original Sin is a storyline where Uatu the Watcher dies.
Who's that?
Uatu the Watcher. Who, bro? Like you don't want to get into like nerd theory with me. I'll go deep.
No, just like briefly for people who don't know like myself.
In Guardians of the Galaxy 2, there was a small like cameo with Stan Lee in an astronaut suit talking to these big-headed people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're jumping in, and he's like, and then I was a postman, and then he's telling, those are the Watchers. The Watchers are like, I believe it's like they're one of the oldest sentient beings in the known universe, and they became so evolved and so like sophisticated to the point where it's like we can no longer contribute or interact with the universe or the worlds.
So we level almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All we are allowed to do is sit back, watch, and catalog the events. So anytime Uatu specifically, because he's the only Watcher that doesn't follow that rule, he'll get involved sometimes. Like, there's a big ass dope event. I know it's about to happen. You should know about it. Like,
all right.
So Original Sin is like where he dies. So it's like a big like, oh shit, Uatu the Watcher died. Like this huge and my cousin was like crazy explaining it to me, and I was like, oh man, I was like, so do you have this comic? Like you read it? He's like, no, I didn't read it. I was like, how do you know all this? And he's like, Comics Explained, this YouTube channel. And that guy is amazing. He's got like super sexy, smooth voice, just like deep and just
as you expect, comic book reader.
Right? And he just shows like comic book panels of like just a few panels here and there, and he just goes in depth,
that's cool,
detail describing the story. But what I love about him, there's two channels I follow: Comics Explained and Comic Storian. Comic Storian is very much I'm reading the comic. Mm-hmm. But I'm creating the voices for you, and then there's the narrator voice, and then I'm showing you the panels, but I'm not doing exactly word for word every page because then there's like copyright infringement stuff. So they just do like a overview basis, which is cool because it gives you the feel of the story. But Comics Explained, he is so much more like in-depth intellectual about like, all right, so this happened in this comic, and the only reason that happened is because in the 80s when Stan Lee was doing this, he worked with this publisher who this guy just knows deep history, like deep dives where he's just like gives you all the background behind it. And like that right there, just like that made me fall in love with it all over again. I was like, nah, dude, like this stuff's deep. Like there's context to it. Because like comics are not for kids. Yeah. They are adult fucking stories. Yeah. Like I dare you to read like any comic and tell me it's like for kids. Like
I mean, House of M is about an alternate universe where the majority of the people on the planet are now mutants and humans because basically Magneto kind of his theory and shit goes his way.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do. I mean,
it's like Man in the High Castle, but
essentially it's essentially that, but mutants, X-Men. Yeah.
Or Wolfenstein.
It's sad and depressing because like it's the same story as X-Men, except the X-Men aren't being persecuted, the mutants aren't being persecuted. It's now the humans, and it's it's still, but the stark contrast really, there's no covering it. It's right in front.
It's interesting that you guys say that because, that you're saying that, a lot of people view comics as for children. Mm-hmm. And like, I definitely get that when I'm, talking to a lot of people being like, hey, there's this animated movie, or especially like animated, like superhero movies like DC and Marvel. And like a lot of people are like, oh, that's just for kids, especially like anime too, Right. I'm like, and then I like show them like, oh, here's this anime, or here's this DC thing that I'm watching, and like people are getting shot, there's blood everywhere, there's sex, there's rape, like it's crazy, and I'm like, yeah, it's not for kids.
No.
Yeah,
it's not. Like, I mean, but like, I want us like, what do you guys? Why do you guys think that people think that animation is for kids? Is it because we grew up with Disney and like that was mainly for kids?
I think that was the start because It was hard, I guess not too hard, but a lot of syndicated television and, you know, like Fox Kids and Warner Brothers and stuff like that. They had those markets for, you know, Saturday morning cartoons. Only because, primarily because they could buy that slot like an infomercial, and then they filled it with stuff, which is what then became Saturday morning cartoons. So to some degree, I do think that people think it's for kids because when cartoons came out, like the Flintstones, you know, I was going to say Hannah Montana. Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera. When Hannah Montana came out in the 70s, I think a lot of it was primarily aimed towards children. That being said, I think there's always kind of been cartoons aimed for
But like our
adults.
first animations were for adults, though. Like Looney
Right.
Tunes, that was for adults.
Yeah.
And, you know, and once obviously like things have got laxed and like, you know, morals and whatnot, they're like, kids can watch this. This is fine.
Yeah, right.
But like all the Looney
See, but I
Tunes
feel
were all
like we
meant for
grew up
adults.
in an era where like adults were okay with us watching extremely adult movies.
I wasn't allowed to watch
Yeah,
The
it depends.
Simpsons.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to
I
watch
was
The
the same.
Simpsons
Yeah.
either.
Wow, that's crazy. All three of us they were not allowed to watch The Simpsons.
I was allowed to watch.
My dad didn't mind. He
There
was
you
just
go,
like,
you too.
when your mom's not looking, we'll watch it.
Right. I was allowed to watch South Park when, you know, they didn't realize what the fuck
yeah,
that
when they didn't know what it was.
But
Oh, it looks like a harmless cartoon.
Yeah, it's a
Sure.
cartoon. It's
Yeah.
for kids.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's, See, that's a great prime example. It's like, fuck you, cartoon are not for kids. Like, watch
Absolutely.
South Park. Watch, like, Rick and Morty, man. Like, that,
Right.
And then, it's so crazy, like, with all, like, people saying, like, oh, you know, it's only for kids. And then, you know, same thing with, like, animation and, like, anime. Like, a lot of
Right.
people consider that is for kids, but, like, anime is also, like, geared in for, like, a different culture because in
is.
Japan,
It's such a different
animation
format,
is
though.
actually watched more than live action stuff.
Yeah, that's why there's so many.
Yeah, and I want to say
short-lived
even
ones,
the
too.
new Dragon Ball Z just came out, and that
The Broly movie?
yeah,
Yeah, I can't wait to
supposedly
see
like
that.
it was rated like so much money.
Bringing the Dragon Ball Z. So just so you know, camera stop.
Liking is like first base. Okay? So go ahead, like it if you want to. Comment if you want to get up there. But if you want to be the man, if you want to hit home base, you fucking stupid fuck, then subscribe. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Just subscribe.
God, that was perfect. That was so perfect.